Thomas did not remember such a thunderstorm in all his 30 years of work at the nature reserve. It started in the evening. The sky turned black in half an hour as if someone had drawn a curtain. The wind hit from the north, bending the pines to the ground, driving waves with white crests across the lake. And then it began. Lightning struck one after another without a break, not in zigzags as usual, but in straight, bright pillars. The thunder did not roll but exploded, so that the walls of the hut shook and the dishes on the shelves rattled. Thomas sat by the window watching the light show. 58 years old, 30 of them in these forests, he had seen fires, storms, floods, but this was the first time. The dog Aka hid under the bench, whining. Thomas did not comfort her, he himself was uneasy. There was something wrong in this storm, something bad, as if nature was not just raging but trying to say something. By midnight it calmed down. Thomas went out onto the porch. The air smelled of ozone and wet pine needles. The moon broke through the torn clouds, illuminating the fallen trees on the edge of the forest. Tomorrow a lot of work, surveying the territory, assessing the damage, reports to the management. He returned to the hut, lay down, but sleep did not come. Something bothered him like a splinter under the skin that you cannot see but feel. Toward morning he dozed off and had a dream. His grandmother, young as he did not remember her, only seen in old photographs, stood by the window looking at the road, waiting for someone. She turned, looked at Thomas, her lips moved, but no words could be heard. He woke up from Aka's barking. Dawn, the sun shining through the window. A new day, clear, clean, as if there had been no storm at all. Thomas got up, washed with well water, put the kettle on the stove. His hands did the usual things, but his head thought about the dream. His grandmother had died 15 years ago at 92, clear and strong to the last day, only her legs did not work. And to the last day she waited for his grandfather. Thomas did not know him. He had died in the war in 42 near Stalingrad, as his grandmother said, as it was written in the death notice, as it was listed in the Book of Memory. Robert Peter Wolfe, born in 1905, sergeant, died a hero's death. His grandmother kept his only photograph, a young man in a Kosovarotka with a serious face and kind eyes. Every year on May 9th she took out this photograph, placed it on the table, lit a candle, sat like that until evening, silent, motionless. She's waiting, Thomas's mother said, still waiting. Thomas did not understand then what to wait for. The man had died 80 years ago, not even a grave left, but his grandmother waited until her death. After breakfast, Thomas started the UAZ and went on the survey. The road was a broken dirt track turned into mush after the rain. The car skidded, roared, but crawled. 30 years on these roads, Thomas knew every pothole, every turn. The reserve, 40,000 hectares of Karelian taiga, lakes, swamps, hills covered with pine and spruce. In summer, tourists, mushroom pickers, fishermen. In winter, silence, only wolves howling. Thomas loved winter more. The first kilometers were normal. Fallen trees, broken branches, usual aftermath of a storm, nothing serious. Thomas marked on the map, photographed with an old phone, would send the report to management later, let them decide what to do. By noon he reached the Devil's Stone. He knew this place well, a huge boulder left by a glacier 3 meters high, 5 wide, lying on the slope of a hill at the Kitrop Fork. Locals called it the Devil's Stone, said in ancient times some rituals were held here, either pagan or witchcraft. Thomas did not believe in that, but he did not like the place. There was something bad about it, even the birds did not sing here. From afar he saw something was wrong. The stone had changed, instead of a solid block, two have split apart as if a giant had taken an axe and chopped from top to bottom. Thomas stopped the car, got out. Lightning. Lightning had struck right into the stone and split it in half. The trace of the strike, black charred, stretched along the granite from top to bottom. The grass around was burned dead. Thomas approached closer. The halves had split 1.5 meters apart between them, darkness, not just a crack, a hole in the ground that had not been there before. He squatted, looked inside, nothing visible, just blackness. He took out a flashlight, shone it and froze. Steps. Stone steps going down, roughly hewn, uneven but clearly man-made. Human hands had done this long ago, very long ago. Thomas sat on the ground, his heart pounded, his hands trembled. 30 years he had passed the stone 1,000 times, no less, and never once suspected there was something under it. Who built this? When? Why? He shone the light down again. The steps went into the depths, 5 meters, maybe more, further not visible. Need to go down, should he? Thomas was a cautious man. 58 years had taught him not to poke where not asked. The underground could collapse, there could be bad air, there could be who knows what. The right thing, go back, call management, call specialists, archaeologists, rescuers, whoever needed, let them handle it. But something held him back. The dream, grandmother by the window, lips moving but no words heard. What did she want to say? Thomas returned to the car, took out gear from the trunk. Rope 20 meters, strong mountaineering, headlamp, hands need to be free, first aid kit, knife, phone, though no signal here, but just in case. He tied the rope to the UAZ's tow hook, checked the knot, wrapped the other end around his waist. If anything he could climb out, approached the hole, stood gathering courage. Well, he said to himself, with God, and began descending. The steps were slippery from dampness, the stone rough, unprocessed. The walls of the narrow passage closed overhead. Thomas felt like in the throat of a stone beast swallowing him and pulling him down. He counted the steps, 5, 10, 15. The descent did not end. 20, 25. At the 30th step the passage widened. Thomas found himself in a chamber small, about 3 meters across, low ceiling, had to bend his head. The walls the same rough stone, but in places traces of tools, pickaxe, chisel, human labor. The air stale but breathable means there's ventilation, a draft from somewhere. Thomas looked around. The chamber was empty, almost empty. In the far corner another passage narrower had to go bent over. Thomas moved forward. The passage stretched 10 meters, walls narrowed, ceiling pressed, breathing harder not from lack of air but from fear, ancient primal fear of darkness and confined space. Then the passage ended. Thomas entered a large chamber and froze. The flashlight picked out a picture from the darkness that caught his throat. Bones. Human bones everywhere, on the floor, by the walls and corners. Skulls, ribs, vertebrae, dozens, maybe hundreds, piled in heaps, scattered haphazardly. Thomas stood unable to move. The beam of the flashlight trembled in his hand, jumped over the terrible finds. Not just bones, among them things, rusty pots, rotted belts, metal buckles, scraps of fabric, either clothes or what. He stepped forward, squatted, picked up one buckle, cleaned off the dirt, a star, five-pointed Soviet star. Thomas sat right on the ground, his legs gave way. He understood in one terrible second, understood everything. Execution pit. He had read about such, knew that in the 30s in Karelia there were camps, many camps. Prisoners built roads, felled timber, mined stone. Thousands of people, enemies of the people, convicted under Article 58. Many did not return. He had read about executions too, special troikas, lists for liquidation, night stages. People were taken to the forest, stood by pits, shot in the back of the head, then buried, covered with stones so no one would find. Devil's Stone, that's why it was called that, not because of ancient rituals, because under it, locals knew or felt. Thomas sat among the bones and could not force himself to stand. How many here? 20, 30 more. Living people once, with names, families, dreams, now a pile of bones in an underground that no one had opened for 80 years. He forced himself to get up, forced himself to look around, already as a professional, as a man who must understand what happened. The chamber was large, 10 meters long, 5 wide, ceiling higher than in the passage, could stand full height. Walls rough stone, in places traces of collapses. Bones lay by the far wall, as if people were herded there before execution. Some skulls with characteristic holes, entry small, even, exit torn, terrible, shot in the back of the head, classic executions. Among the bones, things, pots, mugs, spoons, all rusted, rot, shoes or what was left of them, buckles, buttons, hooks. Thomas noticed something shiny by the wall, bent down, picked up a medallion, brass, darkened with time. On the lid engraved initials, IV. He opened the medallion and the world stopped. Inside, a photograph, faded but discernible, a young man in a Kosovoratka, serious face, kind eyes. Thomas knew this face, had seen it every day of his childhood on his grandmother's shelf in a frame, saw it every May 9th when his grandmother lit a candle and sat silent until evening. Grandfather Robert Peter Wolf, who died near Stalingrad in 42, lying here 5 kilometers from his native home for 80 years. Thomas did not remember how he got out. He sat on the ground by the split stone, looking at the sky. The sun was setting, meaning he had spent several hours below, did not notice. The medallion lay on his palm, heavy, cold. Thomas was afraid to open it again, afraid to see that face, the face of his grandfather whom he had never known and whom he had searched for all his life. His grandmother had searched every May 9th, every day probably, waited by the window, looked at the road, believed he would return, did not believe the death notice. I'd feel if he died. She felt all her life, felt he was somewhere nearby, 5 kilometers underground under the cursed stone. Thomas opened the medallion, his grandfather's face looked at him, young, serious, about 30 in this photo, no more, whole life ahead. He did not yet know what was ahead, only a pit in the Karelian forest and a bullet in the back of the head. Behind the photo something else, paper rolled into a tube. Thomas took it out carefully, unrolled it. A note in pencil, faded handwriting, letters blurred with time but readable. Mary dear, if you find this, know I was never an enemy. Love little Stephen, he is good, take care of yourself, you're Rob, January 1938. Mary, his grandmother Alina. Little Stephen, Thomas's father Stephen John. In 38 he was 3 years old. Grandfather wrote this knowing he would die, wrote in hope that someday someone would find it. 86 years had passed. Thomas cried, not ashamed, whom to be ashamed of in the empty forest. Tears flowed down his cheeks, dripped on the medallion, on the note. Found grandfather, he said aloud, found you, returned home. He returned at dark. Aka met him at the threshold, wagged her tail, pushed under his arms, felt something wrong with her master. Thomas fed the dog, did not eat himself, sat at the table, looked at the medallion. Needed to do something, call someone, report. They're underground, dozens of people, each had a family, descendants, they had the right to know. But first figure it out himself, understand what happened, why grandfather Robert Peter Wolf, a Kolkhoz accountant, quiet family man, ended up in an execution pit. Thomas got the old box from the attic, family archive, photos, documents, letters, all that remained from past generations. The death notice, here it is, yellow paper, typewritten text. Your husband Sergeant Wolf Robert Peter, faithful to the oath, showing heroism and courage, died in battle for the socialist homeland on November 19, 1942 in the Stalingrad area. Buried in a mass grave. Lie, every word a lie. Grandfather was not a sergeant, did not fight near Stalingrad, not buried in a mass grave. He died in January 38, 4 years before this heroic death. Someone faked the documents, someone sent a fake death notice. Why? So the family would not search, not ask questions, not learn the truth. Thomas flipped through the papers further. Father's birth certificate Stephen John Wolfe 1935, grandmother and grandfather's marriage certificate 1933, photos, wedding, father's birth, family holidays. And one more document, a certificate Thomas had seen for the first time. Certificate of Rehabilitation. Wolfe Robert Peter, born 1905, convicted under Article 58-10 of the RSFSR Criminal Code, posthumously rehabilitated based on the decree of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR dated January 16, 1989. Thomas reread 3 times. Article 58-10, Anti-Soviet Agitation and Propaganda. Grandfather was convicted, not just arrested, convicted under a political article and rehabilitated in 89. Grandmother knew, received the certificate in 89. Grandmother was 78 then, still strong in her mind, must have received it but never told Thomas or his father, kept the secret until her death. Why night Thomas did not sleep, lay looking at the ceiling, thoughts swirled, did not let him rest. Grandfather an enemy of the people, convicted under 58, executed in 38. The family sent a fake death notice in 42, 4 years later. Why such complications? Why not tell the truth? Because the truth was terrible. Wife of an enemy of the people is also an enemy. She could be arrested, exiled, executed. The son sent to an orphanage for children of traitors. Fake death notice protection. Someone protected grandfather's family. Someone risked faking documents, saved grandmother and father. Who? Thomas remembered grandmother's stories, fragmentary, rare. She did not like talking about the past, but some things slipped. After the war a man came, military with orders, said, served with your grandfather, said, he was a good man, left money, left, never seen again. Military with orders, served with grandfather, left money. Maybe it was him, the one who faked the death notice, the one who knew the truth and hid it to save the family. Toward morning Thomas decided, need to dig, search documents, testimonies, traces, understand what happened in 38, understand who grandfather really was, and report the find. There under the stone not only grandfather, dozens of people, someone waited for them too. In the morning Thomas went to the district center, 120 kilometers on broken road, 3 hours one way but no other way. In the village no internet, no archives, only in the town can find answers. First the police. The station in an old brick building, sign with peeling paint. The duty officer, young lieutenant, bored behind a computer, looked at Thomas like a madman. Execution pit under the stone, bones, yes, many human bones. This is in the reserve. In the reserve, federal territory, but I must report. The lieutenant scratched his head. Wait, I'll call the chief. The chief, a major about 50, tired with red eyes, listened more attentively. So lightning split the stone and you found an underground? Yes, and there remains several dozen people, judging by things 30s. The major rubbed his forehead. 30s, that's an old case, most likely repression. Such places are found in Karelia to this day. And what do they do with them? Report to the prosecutor's office, they to memorial or the rehabilitation commission. Specialists come, conduct exhumation, try to identify, if succeeds, bury with honors, if not, bury as unknown, put a monument. The major sighed, but it's a long process, months, sometimes years. Thomas placed the medallion on the table. One I already identified, my grandfather Wolfe Robert Peter. The major took the medallion, opened it, looked at the photo, at the note. Your grandfather, yes. My documents, died in the war, in fact executed in 38. The major was silent. I'm sorry, me too, but now I need information. What happened to him, why arrested, for what executed? That's in the FSB archive, cases under 58 there. You can request, write an application, attach documents of kinship, they'll answer within a month. A whole month to wait, but no choice. From the police, Thomas went to the FSB archive. The building, a former merchant house, 2-story with columns. Inside, silence, smell of old paper, gray-haired employees behind desks. Thomas wrote an application. I request information about my grandfather Wolfe Robert Peter, born 1905, convicted under Article 58-10 of the RSFSR Criminal Code, rehabilitated in 1989. Attached copies, father's birth certificate, his own rehabilitation certificate. The employee, an elderly woman in glasses, took the papers, flipped. Wolfe 58, she muttered, now I'll check in the database. She went to the next room, returned in 15 minutes with a thick folder in hand. Found your grandfather's case. Want to look now, Thomas? Can I? You are a direct relative, have the right, only here in the reading room, cannot take out copy with permission. Thomas sat at the table, the folder lay before him, yellow, tattered, with faded inscription. Case number 2847, Wolfe RP. He opened it and began reading. Interrogation protocol from December 15, 1937. I, investigator of the NKVD of the Karelian ASSR, Junior Lieutenant of State Security Ursha VG, interrogated the accused Wolfe Robert Peter, born 1905, Russian, non-party, working as an accountant of the Kolkhoz Red October, residing in the village of Pine Grove, Medvezhyegorsk district. Thomas read and his heart clenched. Question: do you admit guilt in anti-Soviet agitation? Answer: no, I do not. Question: witnesses show you spread slanderous fabrications about the party's and government's policy. Do you admit? Answer: no, I do not, never spread. Question: witness Smith P.S. showed that in October 1937 you said the Kolkhoz system is ineffective and peasants lived better before collectivization. Do you admit? Answer, I said no such thing. Question, witness Smith, party member since 1925, shock worker, you claim he lies. Answer, I don't know why he said that, but I didn't say it. The interrogation continued 3 pages, same questions, same answers. Grandfather did not admit guilt stubbornly despite everything. Thomas turned the page, new interrogation December 20th, 5 days later. Question, accused Wolf, in the previous interrogation you denied guilt. Have your testimonies changed? Answer, yes, changed. I admit I conducted anti-Soviet agitation among Kolkhoz members, spread slanderous fabrications about the party's policy. Thomas froze, 5 days in full confession. What happened in those 5 days? What did they do to grandfather to make him sign? He knew the answer, had read, heard, torture, beatings, threats to family. Don't sign, will arrest wife and son. People confess to anything just to end the nightmare. Further sentence of the Special Troika of the NKVD of the Karelian ASSR from January 10, 1938. Wolf Robert Peter sentenced to the highest measure of punishment, execution. Sentence carried out January 15, 1938. January 15, 38, grandfather's death day, when he was led into the yard, stood by the pit and shot in the back of the head. Thomas closed the folder, hands trembled, eyes blurred, letters blurred, did not want to form words. The employee approached, put a hand on his shoulder. Hard to read, I know, want water. Yes, thank you. She brought a glass. Thomas drank in one gulp. You're not the first, the woman said quietly. Many come, search for relatives, find such. Is there more in the case? Look, usually there are certificates, characteristics, lists of witnesses. Thomas opened the folder again, flipped, and found the list of prosecution witnesses, 2 people. Smith Peter Simon, Kolkhoz chairman, Frederick Andrew Fedor, brigade leader of the field brigade. 2 people whose testimony sent grandfather to execution. Smith and Frederick. These surnames Thomas knew, had heard from grandmother, from father, old families living in Pine Grove since ancient times. The Smiths still live in the village, great-grandchildren of that chairman. The Fredericks moved, but relatives remained. Witnesses, informers, those who killed grandfather. Thomas returned to the village at night. The road seemed endless, thoughts swirled, did not let him rest. 2 names, Smith and Frederick, pounded in his head like a hammer. Chairman of the Kolkhoz and brigade leader, respected people, communists, shock workers. They wrote the denunciation and grandfather went to execution. Why, for what? Thomas did not believe in anti-Soviet agitation. Grandfather from a peasant family, barely literate, what agitation? Against whom? He counted labor days in the Kolkhoz office, came home, played with his son. Ordinary life of an ordinary man, so something personal. Smith or Frederick or both had reasons to get rid of grandfather. Denunciation in the 30s, ideal weapon, wrote a paper, signed, and the person is gone. No investigation, no evidence, word against word, and execution. Needed to learn more. The next day Thomas went to Pine Grove, the village 20 kilometers from the reserve where his father was born, where grandmother lived before moving to the district center. Thomas visited there rarely after grandmother's death, no reasons left. Pine Grove was dying slowly. Of 50 households, 10 remained inhabited, old people living out their days, youth long gone to cities to another life. Thomas stopped at the Edge house. Here lived Mary Frances, 92-year-old old woman, the last who remembered pre-war times. She sat on a bench by the gate, small, wrinkled like a baked apple, but eyes lively, sharp. Thomas, she squinted, Eleanor's grandson. That's me, Granny Mary. Look like your grandfather, look like him, same tall, same grim. Thomas sat beside. Granny Mary, I want to ask about grandfather, about Robert Peter. The old woman was silent, face hardened. Why you? I found him, his remains, under the Devil's Stone. Mary Frances crossed herself. Lord Jesus found. You knew, everyone knew, only silent. She was silent, gathering thoughts. They arrested Rob in December 37 at night, came, took. Eleanor, your grandma, ran after the car in the snow barefoot, screamed, cried, little Stephen in arms yelled. For what arrested him? Said, enemy of the people, agitate. The old woman spat, lie. Rob wouldn't hurt a fly, quiet, hardworking, loved Eleanor to distraction. Then why? Mary Frances looked at him long, appraising. You really want to know? Want. The old woman sighed. Okay, listen. The story was simple and terrible. In 36, a new teacher came to Pine Grove, young, beautiful, from Leningrad, named Anna Sarah. She taught lessons in primary school, lived in a room at the school, kept to herself. Kolkhoz chairman Smith, married with 3 children, set his eye on her, courted, gave gifts, promised golden mountains. Anna refused politely but firmly. Smith, not used to refusals, he was king and god in the village, took what he wanted, had whom he wanted. One night he came to Anna, drunk, insolent, demanded his, and on the threshold stood Robert Wolf. Why, grandfather? Asked Thomas. He lived nearby, heard screams, ran, stood between Smith and the teacher, said, Go Peter while whole. And Smith went, did not fight the accountant with witnesses, but remembered Smith did not forgive such. Mary Frances was silent. A year later, denunciation. Smith and Frederick, his toady, wrote that Rob agitates against Soviet power, that was enough. And the teacher left right after Rob's arrest, said back to Leningrad. What became of her, don't know. Thomas sat silent, digesting what he heard. Grandfather died because he stood up for a woman, did not let the chairman do what he wanted because he was a decent man. And Smith lived on, prospered, led, got fat, lived to deep old age, died in his bed, buried with honors, portrait in the local museum, hero of labor, builder of Kolkhoz system. Justice. What became of Smith? Asked Thomas. died in 78 stroke, buried in Central Cemetery Monument Set, and his family. Son Victor lived here till 90s, then to town became boss. Grandchildren somewhere in Moscow, they say. And Frederick, that one ended worse, drafted in 42, died near Arzhev in first battle, said he went under bullets himself, conscience tormented probably. He was Rob's friend since childhood, friends, and then signed denunciation. Thomas remembered grandfather's note, little Stephen Good. Grandfather knew who betrayed him, knew former friend signed his death sentence and still asked to take care of son. Granny Mary, he said, and what with grandmother after arrest? The old woman frowned. Bad wife of enemy of the people, stigma. Expelled from kolkhoz, from house, lived in dugout on village edge with little Stephen. Starved, froze, people afraid to help could be taken themselves. House survived, don't know, miracle probably or stubbornness. Eleanor was Flint, said, I'll raise son whatever it costs, and raised. Thomas was silent, thought about grandmother young with 3-year-old child in arms in dugout winter alone against whole world. Then war, continued Mary Frances, men taken became easier, forgot about enemies of the people, other worries. Eleanor worked in kolkhoz, then at logging. Little Stephen grew. In 44 death notice came on Rob, said died near Stalingrad. Eleanor didn't believe, said, I know where he is, I feel. She knew, guessed, but silent, afraid for little Stephen. Son of enemy of the people, also stigma, no institute, no work. Thomas understood, grandmother silent to protect father so he could live normal life without cursed past. Father grew, studied, worked as engineer, married, had son Thomas, died in 95 from heart, never learned truth. Or learned, Granny Mary. Last question, you said after war a man came, military with orders. The old woman nodded. Yes, came in 46 or 47, tall, handsome, orders on whole chest. Talked with Eleanor long behind closed doors, then left, never seen. Who was he? Don't know, Eleanor didn't say. But after his visit everything changed. Eleanor restored in kolkhoz, given normal house, stopped hissing behind back as if forgiven. Strange, strange. I thought then maybe Rob's relative or fellow soldier, but where would accountant have such acquaintances? Thomas did not know but intended to find out. From Pine Grove he went to the district center. Plan in head, find Smith's descendants, talk, maybe they know something, maybe family preserved documents, letters, or secrets. Victor Smith, chairman's son, died in 2000s but grandchildren remained. One of them, Andrew Smith, worked in city administration, deputy head for economic issues, important man, respected. Thomas found him easily. Google helped, phone, address, reception schedule, modern technologies. Called Andrew Viktorovich, my name is Thomas Wolfe, I'd like to talk about your great-grandfather. Pause on the line. About which great-grandfather? About Peter Simon Smith, chairman of kolkhoz Red October. Another pause longer. What specifically interests you? 1937, denunciation on my grandfather. Silence, then voice changed, tense. Come tomorrow at 10 in my office. Andrew Smith's office on second floor of administration, spacious with view of square, president's portrait on wall, flag in corner, all solid, official. Smith himself, man about 50, plump, balding, inexpensive suit, face round, inexpressive, eyes small, darting. Sit, he indicated a chair. Thomas sat. So, Smith folded hands on table, you want to talk about my great-grandfather. Why? Under Devil's Stone found execution pit. There remains of my grandfather Robert Peter Wolfe, executed in January 38. Smith paled slightly, but Thomas saw. My condolences. Thank you, but I need not condolences, I need truth. What truth? Your great-grandfather wrote denunciation on my grandfather. Because of that denunciation, grandfather executed. I want to know why. Smith was silent, looked at table, fiddled with pen. It was long ago, he said finally, 86 years ago. What about me? You nothing, but maybe in your family something preserved, documents, letters, diaries, something that explains for what. Smith raised eyes, in them something strange, fear, shame, Thomas could not understand. My great-grandfather, he began and was silent, gathered strength. My great-grandfather was a complex man, tough, authoritative. He did much for the village, built school, brought electricity, but also much bad. You knew about denunciation? Guessed. Family didn't say directly, but hints. Father once drank too much and said, on our family blood, much blood. Your great-grandfather wrote many denunciations, Smith nodded. Not only on your grandfather, on many who interfered, who contradicted. In 30s it was easy, wrote paper and person gone. Thomas felt anger boiling inside, held himself with difficulty. How many? What how many? How many people he sent to execution? Smith looked away. Don't know exactly, 10, maybe 15, maybe more. 15 people, 15 families destroyed by one man, 15 children grown orphans. And you knew all these years? Knew, Smith sighed, but what could I do? Great-grandfather long gone, those he ruined too. Who needs this truth? Me, I need. Thomas left the office empty, tired. Truth turned out simple, no secrets, no conspiracies, just power. Man got power over others and used it to kill those who interfered, who disliked, who stood in way. Grandfather died because stood up for woman. 15 others for other reasons, but result one, pit in forest, bones under stone, 80 years silence. Thomas sat in car but did not start engine, sat looking into void. What to do next? Report to authorities, already did. Soon specialists come, start exhumation, identify, contact relatives, bury with honors. But that's not enough. Need something more, something that remains, something that won't let forget. Monument at that place where split stone with names of all who lie there so people remember so it doesn't repeat. The next 2 weeks Thomas hardly slept. Days, work at reserve, surveys, reports. Management demanded documents on storm damages, insurance company acts of inspection, routine nowhere to go. Evenings, archives. Thomas dug in internet, called museums, wrote requests, searched information on executions of 30s in Karelia, on camps, on burial places. Searched and found. Karelia and 30s, one big camp, White Sea Canal, Solovki, dozens smaller points, hundreds, thousands prisoners and thousands executed. Hits like under Devil's Stone all over Republic, some found, many still hidden. Specialists from Memorial came in 10 days, 3 elderly historian Victor Samuel, young anthropologist Kate and volunteer Michael, student archaeologist, brought equipment, tents, tools, generator, set up camp by split stone. Thomas helped as he could, carried things, set fencing, cooked porridge on fire, watched as specialists carefully descend into underground, carry out bones, lay on tarpaulin. 43 people, that's how many counted by end of first week. 43 skeletons, men, women, even children, executed in back of head, thrown in pit, covered with earth, stone on top so no one finds. Typical picture, said Victor Samuel, gray professor with tired eyes. Special troikas worked fast, sentence, execution, burial, conveyor of death. Can identify, we'll try by things, by teeth, by DNA, but long process, months, maybe years. Thomas looked at rows of bones and thought, each had family, wives, children, parents. They waited like grandmother waited and did not wait. On 12th day, Kate called him. Thomas, Stephen, look, found something interesting. She held a metal box, rusty, dented, size of cigarette case. Lay under one skeleton, apparently hid before death. Thomas took the box, heavy, something rolls inside, opened with difficulty, lid rusted. Inside papers, rolled, yellowed, and photos. On photo, group of men in military uniform, young, cheerful. On back, inscription faded but readable, graduation 1924, Leningrad Infantry School. Thomas peered at faces, one seemed familiar but he could not understand why. What's in papers? Asked Kate. Thomas unrolled first sheet, letter and pencil. Dear Masha, if you read this means I'm gone, don't cry dear, I die innocent. For what they kill me don't know, but no one, I loved you always. Take care of little Sergey. You're Alex. Another letter, another farewell note like grandfather's, only different names, different words. Alex. Thomas reread signature. Need to find who this is. We'll try, nodded Kate, by handwriting, by content, maybe in lists of repressed. Thomas looked at photo and suddenly understood whom one face reminds. The military, the one Granny Mary talked about, tall, handsome with orders. What if it's him? What if the man in photo, the one who visited grandmother after war? In evening, Thomas sat by fire, flipped papers from box. 3 letters from different people to different addressees, but all same in essence. Farewell to loved ones, declaration of innocence, request to remember. Did not send, put in box, hid under body, hoped someday find. Found after 86 years. Thomas, Stephen. Victor Samuel sat by fire. I looked at photo, interesting find. Recognize anyone? Possibly see this man. Professor pointed to one on edge right. This is Alexander Michael Thunder, Red Army commander, hero of Civil War, arrested in 37, executed in 38. Here most likely. His case in archives I checked, convicted by same troika as your grandfather, same period. Thomas looked at Thunder's face, young, confident with kind eyes. And the others? In photo, his classmates, graduates of military school. After revolution all went to Red Army, fought, made careers. And in 30s most fell under purge. Most, not all. This one for example, professor pointed to another, George John Frost. He survived, went through whole war, rose to general, died in 70s, buried with honors. Frost. Thomas peered at face and froze. It was the face he saw in old photo at grandmother's, military with orders who came after war. Victor Samuel, he said slowly, I need to learn more about this man Frost. Information about General Frost found quickly. George John Frost, born 1902, participant in Civil War, regiment commander then division. In 30s somehow miraculously avoided repressions. Fought from first day of Great Patriotic, Stalingrad, Kursk, Berlin, awards, ranks, honor. After war served in Leningrad Military District. Retired in 60s, died in 77. But main other, in military archive found Frost's personal file and their report from 46, secret, declassified only in 90s. I report that I Major General Frost GJ conducted work on searching families of comrades who died during repressions 1937 to 38. Established addresses of 12 families, provided material assistance. Request permission to continue work. Resolution, deny. Case closed. Thomas read and understood. Frost knew his friends executed innocently, knew their families starving, begging, and tried to help secretly, risking career, maybe life. 12 families including grandfathers, that's who visited grandmother, that's who left money, that's who possibly faked death notice to protect her and father. Combat comrade, friend, man of honor. Thomas found Frost's granddaughter in Petersburg. Helen George, 70 years, former university teacher, now retired, lives alone in old apartment on Vasilyevsky Island. He called her, explained situation, she agreed to meet. Apartment spacious with high ceilings filled with books. On walls photos, Frost in youth in war with family. You grandson of Robert Wolfe? Asked Helen George, pouring tea. Yes, you know this name. No, she sat opposite. Grandfather often spoke of him, of Rob Wolfe, of other friends, those he lost in 30s. He told what happened, not to me, to father, and father to me after grandfather's death. Helen George was silent. Grandfather felt guilt all life. He survived, they died. Why him? How he better? He tried to help. Yes, traveled to villages, searched families of dead friends, brought money, goods, lobbied for children to be accepted to institutes to work. Your grandfather could be arrested for that. Could, he knew, but could not otherwise. Helen George stood, went to cabinet, took out old folder. Here his records, diaries, letters, he kept them all life after death passed to father. Father to me. She placed folder on table. Take, there are records about your grandfather, about what happened. Thomas read Frost's diaries all night, small handwriting, faded ink, entries for many years from 20s to 70s, whole life on yellowed pages. Found entries for 37. October, arrested Thunder, accusation participation in Trotskyist conspiracy. Nonsense, Alexander devoted party man, most honest. Someone wrote denunciation. November, took Petrov and Kuznetsov, say spies, idiocy, they fought for revolution when current investigators still walked under table. December, Wolf arrested. Rob, quiet accountant, enemy of the people, funny if not scary. January 1938, learned, all executed. Thunder, Petrov, Kuznetsov, Wolf, all were buried, not say state secret. Thomas read and saw behind lines a living man. Frost suffered, feared, did not understand but wrote, so not forget, so remains. Further entries for 46, war ended, now can go to Karelia, search families of dead. Found Mary Wolf lives with son in village in poverty, left money all I had, she didn't want to take, proud said from Rob, took. Mary asked where Rob buried, couldn't say, don't know. Say somewhere in forest under stone, but where exactly no one remembers. Under stone, Frost knew or guessed. Formed death notice for Rob through acquaintance in military commissariat. Now officially he died in war, hero. Easier for Mary, for son too, no stigma. There it is, Frost fake death notice, protected grandmother and father, risked for memory of friend. Last entry from 76, year before death, soon die feel, all life remembered them, Alexander, Pete, Rob. All life tried to atone, couldn't. Only thing I can leave, truth, these records my testimony. Let descendants know their grandfather's innocent, killed by system that devoured its children. I'm not hero, I'm survivor, one who got lucky, but memory of dead my burden and I carried it to end. Thomas closed diary, sat in silence, looked at wall. Outside, Petersburg morning, gray and damp. Frost died in 77, did not learn, friend found 47 years after his death, did not see truth come out. But he did all he could, preserved memory, protected families, left records. Now Thomas's turn. He returned to Karelia in 3 days, work at Devil's Stone nearing end. All remains lifted, described, packed, soon send for expertise, DNA, anthropology, identification. Thomas stood by split stone, looked at empty pit, dug up, no longer scary, just hole in ground. Identified anyone? He asked Victor Samuel. So far 7 by medallions, by documents, your grandfather among them, others working, checking with lists of executed, many match. How long full identification take? Year, maybe 2, DNA analysis, long process. Thomas nodded, he'll wait, waited 86 years, wait more. Autumn came early, already in September 1st frosts hit, leaves yellowed and weak. Karelian forest prepared for winter, harsh, long as always. Thomas worked without rest, but evening search, archives, databases, lists of repressed. He searched exactly those who lay under stone, searched and found. By October expertise confirmed, 43 people, 31 men, 9 women, 3 children, all executed from December 37 to March 38. 4 months, 43 lives. Names established for 34. Robert Peter Wolf, accountant, 32 years. Alexander Michael Thunder, Red Army commander, 35 years. Maria Ilyinishna Petrov, teacher, 28 years. Peter Andrew Kuznetsov, agronomist, 41 years. Anna Steven Sidorov, paramedic, 33 years. List grew, each name a fate, each a tragedy. Thomas made table, name, age, profession, accusation, sentence. Looked at it and did not believe. Teachers, doctors, agronomists, accountants, ordinary people working for country's good. Enemies of the people, spies, terrorists, madness, monstrous, bloody madness. Parallel another work, search for relatives. Thomas understood he not only one who waited. Each of 43 had families, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they if still alive had right to know. Started with those identified. Maria Ilyinishna Petrov, teacher from neighboring district, arrested for anti-Soviet agitation among pupils, executed in January 38. Thomas found her great-grandson Alex Petrov, 45 years, lives in Petrozavodsk, works as programmer, married, 2 children. Called, explained situation. Silence online, then voice hoarse changed. You sure, great-grandmother? Yes, remains identified by DNA, compared with database of relatives of repressed. We didn't know, told us, died of illness in 38 from pneumonia. Lie, she executed as enemy of the people. Silence, then sob, she was teacher, taught children to read, what enemy, none, slandered, denunciation, wrote by school director, wanted her place. Alex came in 3 days, stood by split stone, looked at pit, cried, not ashamed, not hiding. 86 years, he said, 86 years she lay here and we didn't know. Thomas put hand on his shoulder, now we know. Such meetings many. People came from all Russia, from Moscow, Petersburg, Novosibirsk, Vladivostok. Descendants of executed groan with lie. Told them, grandfather died in war, grandmother perished in evacuation, great-grandfather missing. No one told truth, now told. Thomas met each, told, showed, explained, became keeper of memory, one who knows and remembers. Some stories shook. Anna Steven Sidorov, paramedic from Pine Grove Village, same where grandfather lived. Arrested for sabotage, allegedly deliberately treated kolkhoz members wrong. Her great-granddaughter Olga, 60 years, came from Krasnodar. Grandmother told, she said standing by stone, that her mother was saint, treated everyone free day and night. People came to her from whole district, then taken and no one saw more. Who wrote denunciation? Don't know. Grandmother said someone from OWN, from those she refused sick leave. From OWN, always from OWN. Neighbors, colleagues, acquaintances, those with whom shared bread, worked together, celebrated together, betrayed for position, for revenge, for fear. System worked perfectly, no need investigators, no need evidence, enough paper with denunciation and person gone. By November, established 34 names out of 43. 9 remained unknown, no documents, no things, just bones, nameless, forgot. Thomas did not give up, searched, compared, checked, but database of repressed, incomplete, many cases destroyed, many classified to this day. Do what you can, said Victor Samuel, rest not in your power. And if there's someone's grandfather, someone's grandmother, if someone still searches, then we'll search further like you searched, like all we search. Thomas understood Professor Wright, cannot embrace immensity, cannot find all. Help all, fix all, but can do what's in power, and he did. At end of November, Thomas gathered meeting, invited all he found, descendants of dead. Came 27 people from different cities, different generations, united by one common pain. Met in District House of Culture, old building, shabby walls, creaky chairs, but warm, light, cozy. Thomas stood by stage, looked at faces, young and old, male and female, unfamiliar and yet kin. All they lost someone under Devil's Stone. Thank you for coming, he began. No road was long but this important. He turned on projector, on screen photos, old black and white faces of dead, those managed to find in archives. These are ancestors, 34 people whose names we established, 9 yet unknown, but work continues. People looked at screens, some cried, some clenched fists, some just silent, unable to speak. They died innocent, continued Thomas, slandered, tried, executed. 86 years they lay in pit under stone, without names, without graves, without memory. Voice trembled, Thomas coped. Among them my grandfather Robert Peter Wolf, accountant from Pine Grove Village, arrested for anti-Soviet agitation, executed in January 38. He took out medallion, same one found in pit. This all left of him, medallion with photo and note to wife. Mary dear, if you find, know I never enemy. Love little Stephen, he good. Take care yourself, you're Rob. Thomas looked at sky, clear blue. Grandmother waited him all life, 70 years waited, looked out window, went to road, believed would return. Did not believe death, notice sent in 42, said, he's close I feel. She was right, he was close, 5 kilometers from home under this stone. Silence, people listened holding breath. I didn't meet grandmother, continued Thomas, she died when I was 43, didn't have time to tell her truth, show this place. Pointed to monument, but I believe she knows where she is now, knows, and grandfather knows, and all 43 know. We found them, return names, set stone to remember, to never forget. Thomas put hand on steel, a cold granite warm from sun. Rest in peace, you are remembered. After speeches, minute of silence. People stood, heads bowed, wind rustled in pines, birds sang somewhere far, world continued, indifferent, eternal. Then flowers, each approached monument, laid bouquet, candle. Some cried, some just silent, words not needed. Thomas stood aside, watched. Alex Petrov, great-grandson of teacher, laid flowers and photo, old black and white, great-grandmother young, smiling. Olga from Krasnodar brought icons, small wooden. Grandmother said great-grandmother always prayed before sleep. Now there's where. Helen George, granddaughter of General Frost, brought grandfather's diaries, laid by Stila next to flowers. He would want to be here, she said. All life searched this place, didn't find, but his records found. Thomas nodded. Without him we wouldn't know truth. He knows, I'm sure knows. Last approached Andrew Smith, great-grandson of denouncer. Stood aside whole ceremony, did not push forward, did not attract attention, just was silent. Now approached monument, knelt right in snow and frost, bowed head. Forgive, he said, on behalf of my family, forgive. Thomas looked at him, at great-grandson of killer standing on knees before victims. Strange feeling, not anger, not satisfaction, something else, light, liberating, maybe forgiveness. He extended hand, helped Smith up. Stand cold. Smith looked at him, tears in eyes. You forgive. Not for me to forgive, they would forgive probably. How you know? Thomas took out from pocket medallion, opened, showed note. My grandfather wrote this before death, not a word of curses, only love. Smith read, closed eyes. He was better than us, they all were better, that's why killed. Spring came late, mid-April snow melted slowly, unwillingly, ground thawed turning to mud, streams ran from hills filling rivers with meltwater. Thomas waited every day, checked forecast, drove to stone, looked at ground. Needed firm soil for equipment, for work, for people. Early May waited, ground dried, roads passable, can start. Equipment brought from district center, excavator, crane, truck with concrete. Workers came from town, 5 strong men who agreed to work for half price when learned for what. Monument made in Petrozavodsk all winter. Sculptor Andrew, young guy with beard and sad eyes, put soul, this main work of my life. Design simple but powerful. Granite stela 3 meters high, on front bas-relief silhouettes of people going into light, on back names. 34 names established and below line, and 9 unknown. 43 people all on one stone. Installation scheduled for May 9th symbolically. Victory Day, day when grandmother every year took out grandfather's photo and lit candle, day when whole country remembers dead. Now we'll remember them too. Those who died not in war but from own, those killed not by enemy bullet but by paper with denunciation. People gathered many, descendants of dead, all 27 found, journalists local and federal. Officials from administration had to invite, no way without them, just people from nearby villages from town, those who read story on internet and wanted to be here. Thomas stood by stone, split, darkened over winter, looked at people gathered around. Year ago he was here alone. Lightning struck, he came, descended into pit, found bones, found medallion, found grandfather. Now not alone, now many, united by common memory, common pain, common hope. Ready? Asked Victor Samuel. Ready, Crane roared, lifted Stela slowly, carefully, lowered onto prepared base. Workers secured, check level, stepped back. Monument stood, 3 meters granite against 86 years silence. Thomas approached microphone, looked at faces familiar and unfamiliar, all waited what he say. He prepared speech long, carefully rewrote dozens times, but now words flew out of head, only feelings remained. Year ago, he began, lightning struck this stone, split it in half, under it pit and in pit people. He was silent. 43 people, men, women, children, executed in 37 and 38, thrown in pit, covered with earth, stone on top. 86 years no one knew. 86 years no one remembered. Voice trembled, Thomas coped. Among them my grandfather Robert Peter Wolfe, accountant from Pine Grove, arrested for anti-Soviet agitation, executed in January 38. He took out medallion, same one. This all from him, medallion with photo and note to wife. Mary dear, if fine, no I never enemy, love little Stephen he good, take care yourself, you're Rob. Thomas looked at sky, clear blue. Grandmother waited him all life, 70 years waited, looked in window, went out to road, believed return. Did not believe death notice they sent in 42, said. Paper lies, I'd feel if he died. She felt all life, felt he somewhere near, 5 kilometers underground under cursed stone. Thomas opened medallion, grandfather's face looked at him, young, serious, about 30 in photo, no more, whole life ahead. He not yet know ahead, only pit in Karelian forest and bullet in back of head. Behind photo something else, paper rolled, tube. Thomas took out carefully, unrolled. Note, pencil, faded handwriting, letters blurred, time but readable. Mary dear, if find this, no I never enemy. Love little Stephen he good, take care yourself, you're Rob, January 1938. Mary grandmother Aliner. Little Stephen Thomas's father Stephen John, in 38 he 3 years. Grandfather wrote this knowing, die wrote hope someday someone find. 86 years passed. Thomas cried not ashamed, whom ashamed empty forest. Tears flowed, cheeks dripped, medallion note. Found grandfather said aloud, found you, returned home. He returned dark, Aka met threshold, wagged tail, pushed arms, felt wrong master. Thomas fed dog, not eat himself, sat table, looked medallion. Need do something, call someone, report. They're underground, dozens people, each family descendants right no. The first figure out, understand happen why grandfather Robert Peter Wolfe, cause accountant, quiet family man, ended execution pit. Thomas got old box, attic, family archive, photos, documents, letters, all remained past generations. Death notice here, yellow paper, typewritten text. Your husband Sergeant Wolfe Robert Peter, faithful oath showing heroism, courage, died battle, socialist homeland, November 19, 1942, Stalingrad area. Buried mass grave. Lie, every word lie. Grandfather not sergeant, not fight, Stalingrad not buried mass grave. He died January 38, 4 years before heroic death. Someone faked documents, someone sent fake death notice. Why? Family not search, not ask questions, not learn truth. Thomas flipped papers further. Father birth certificate Stephen John Wolfe 1935. Grandmother grandfather marriage certificate 1933. Photos, wedding, father birth, family holidays. And one more document, certificate Thomas seen first time. Certificate rehabilitation. Wolfe Robert Peter born 1905, convicted Article 58-10 RSFSR Criminal Code, posthumously rehabilitated base decree Presidium Supreme Soviet USSR dated January 16, 1989. Thomas reread 3 times. Article 58-10 Anti-Soviet agitation propaganda. Grandfather convicted, not just arrested, convicted, political, article rehabilitated 89. Grandmother new received certificate 89, grandmother 78, then still strong mind must receive, never told Thomas father, kept secret death. Why? Night Thomas not sleep, lay looking, ceiling, thoughts swirled, not let rest. Grandfather enemy people convicted 58, executed 38. Family sent fake death notice 42, 4 years later. Why complications? Why not tell truth? Because truth terrible. Wife enemy people also enemy could arrest, exile, execute, son send orphanage, children traitors. Fake death notice protection. Someone protected grandfather family, someone risked faking documents, saved grandmother father. Who? Thomas remembered grandmother stories, fragmentary, rare, not like talking past, but some slipped. After war man came military orders, said. Served grandfather said. He good man, left money, left never seen. Military orders served grandfather, left money. Maybe him one fake death notice, one new truth hid, save family. Toward morning Thomas decided. Need dig, search documents, testimonies, traces, understand happened 38, understand grandfather really was. And report find. Their stone not only grandfather, dozens people, someone waited them too. Morning Thomas went district center, 120 kilometers, broken road, 3 hours one way, no other way. Village no internet no archives only town find answers. First police. Station old brick building sign peeling paint. Duty officer young lieutenant board computer look Thomas madman. Execution pit stone bones yes many human bones this reserve. Reserve federal territory must report. Lieutenant scratched head. Wait call chief. Chief Major 50 tired red eyes listened attentively. So lightning split stone found underground yes there remains several dozen people judging things 30s. Major rubbed forehead. 30s old case likely repressions. Such places found Karelia Day. What do them? Report prosecutor's office they Memorial Rehabilitation Commission. Specialists come conduct exhumation try identify succeeds bury honors not bury unknown put monument. Major sighed but long process months sometimes years. Thomas placed medallion table. One identified grandfather Wolf Robert Peter. Major took medallion open look photo note your grandfather yes documents died war fact executed 38. Major silent sorry, me too now need information happened why arrested what executed. That's FSB archive cases 58 there. Request write application attached documents kinship answer month. Month whole month wait. No choice, police Thomas went FSB archive. Building former merchant house 2-story columns. Inside silence smell old paper gray-haired employees desks. Thomas wrote application. Request information grandfather Wolf Robert Peter born 1905 convicted Article 58-10 RSFSR Criminal Code rehabilitated 1989. Attached copies. Father birth certificate own rehabilitation certificate. Employee elderly woman glasses took papers flipped. Wolf 58 muttered now check database. Went next room returned 15 minutes thick folder hand. Found grandfather case. Want look now? Thomas can I? Direct relative right only reading room cannot take out copy permission. Thomas sat table folder lay before yellow tattered faded inscription. Case number 2847 Wolf RP opened began reading. Interrogation Protocol December 15, 1937. I investigator in KVD Karelian ASSR Junior Lieutenant State Security Ursha VG interrogated accused Wolf Robert Peter born 1905 Russian non-party working accountant Kolkhoz Red October residing Village Pine Grove Medvezhyegorsk District. Thomas red heart clenched. Question. Admit guilt anti-Soviet agitation. Answer. No not. Question. Witnesses show spread slanderous fabrications party government policy. Admit. Answer. No not never spread. Question. Witness Smith P.S. showed October 1937 said Kolkhoz system ineffective peasants live better collectivization. Admit. Answer. Said no such thing. Question. Witness Smith party member 1925 shock worker claim lies. Answer. Don't know why said but didn't say. Interrogation continued 3 pages same questions same answers. Grandfather not admit guilt stubbornly despite everything. Thomas turned page new interrogation December 20th 5 days later. Question. Accused Wolf previous interrogation denied guilt. Testimonies changed. Answer. Yes changed. Admit conducted anti-Soviet agitation among Kolkhoz members spread slanderous fabrications party policy. Thomas froze. 5 days full confession. What happened 5 days what did grandfather make sign? New answer read heard torture beatings threats family. Don't sign arrest wife son. People confessed anything end nightmare. Further, sentence special troika in KVD Karelian ASSR January 10, 1938. Wolf Robert Peter sentenced highest measure punishment execution. Sentence carried out January 15, 1938. January 15, 38. Grandfather death day Lydyard stood pit shot back head. Thomas closed folder hands trembled eyes blurred letters blurred not form words. Employee approach put hand shoulder. Hard read no want water. Yes thank. Brought glass Thomas drank gulp. Not first woman said quietly many come search relatives find such. More case look usually certificates characteristics list witnesses. Thomas open folder again flipped found list prosecution witnesses 2 people. Smith Peter Simon Kolkhoz chairman. Frederick Andrew Fedor Brigade leader field brigade. 2 people testimonies sent grandfather execution. Smith Frederick, surnames Thomas Newherd grandmother father, old families living Pine Grove ancient times. Smith still live village great-grandchildren chairman. Frederick's moved relatives remained. Witnesses informers killed grandfather. Thomas returned village night. Road seemed endless thoughts swirled not rest. 2 names Smith Frederick pounded head hammer. Chairman Kolkhoz brigade leader respected people communist shock workers. Wrote denunciation grandfather went execution. Why what? Thomas not believe anti-Soviet agitation. Grandfather peasant family barely literate what agitation. Against whom, counted labor days Kolkhoz office came home played son. Ordinary life ordinary man so something personal. Smith Frederick both reasons get rid grandfather. Denunciation 30s ideal weapon. Wrote paper signed person gone no investigation no evidence. Word against word execution needed learn more. Next day Thomas went Pine Grove. Village 20 kilometers reserve father born grandmother lived moving district center. Thomas visited rarely grandmother death no reasons left. Pine Grove dying slowly 50 households 10 remained inhabited. Old people living days youth long gone city's life. Thomas stopped Edge house lived Mary Frances 92-year-old old woman last remembered pre-war times. Sat bench gate small wrinkled baked apple eyes lively sharp. Thomas squinted. Alina grandson. Me Granny Mary. Look, grandfather look same tall same grim. Thomas sat beside. Granny Mary one asked grandfather Robert Peter. Old woman's silent face hardened. Why? Found remains devil stone. Mary Frances crossed. Lord Jesus found. Knew everyone knew silent gathering thoughts. Arrested robbed December 37 night came took. Alina grandma ran car snow barefoot screamed cried little Stephen arms yelled. Arrested, said enemy people agitator. Old woman spat, lie. Rob hurt fly quiet hardworking loved Alina distraction. Then why? Mary Frances looked long appraising. Really want no, want. Old woman sighed. Okay listen, story simple terrible. 36 new teacher came Pine Grove young beautiful Leningrad named Anna Sarah. Taught lessons primary school lived room school kept self. Kolkhoz chairman Smith married 3 children said I courted gave gifts promised golden mountains. Anna refused politely firmly. Smith not used refusals King God village took wanted had wanted, one night came on a drunk insolent demanded, threshold stood Robert Wolfe. Why grandfather? Asked Thomas. Lived nearby heard screams ran stood Smith teacher said, go Peter Hole. Smith went not fight accountant witnesses but remembered Smith not forgive Mary Frances silent year later denunciation. Smith Frederick Toady wrote Rob agitates Soviet power enough. Teacher left right Rob arrests said back Leningrad became her no. Thomas sat silent digesting heard. Grandfather died stood woman not let chairman do wanted decent man. Smith lived prospered led fat lived deep old age died bed buried honors portrait local museum hero labor builder Kolkhoz system. Justice. Became Smith asked Thomas. Died 78 stroke. Buried Central Cemetery monument set. Family. Son Victor lived 90s town became boss. Grandchildren Moscow say. Frederick. Ended worst drafted 42 died Arjev first battle. Said went bullets conscience tormented. Friend Rob childhood friends signed denunciation. Thomas remembered grandfather note, little Stephen good. Grandfather knew betrayed new former friend signed death sentence still asked care son. Granny Mary said grandmother after arrest, old woman frown bad wife enemy people stigma expelled Kolkhoz house lived dugout village edge little Stephen starved froze people afraid help taken. Survived, no miracle stubbornness. Alina Flint said raise son costs, raised. Thomas silent thought grandmother young 3-year-old child arms dugout winter alone world. Then war continued Mary Frances men taken easier forgot enemies people worries. Alina worked Kolkhoz logging. Little Stephen grew 40 for death notice came Rob said died Stalingrad. Alina believe said no is feel. New guest silent afraid little Stephen. Son enemy people stigma no institute no work. Thomas understood. Grandmother silent protect father live normal life cursed past. Father grew studied worked engineer married son Thomas died 95 heart never learned truth. Learned. Granny Mary last question said war man came military orders. Old woman nodded. Yes came 46-47 tall handsome orders chest. Talked Alina long closed doors left never seen. Who no Alina say. After visit everything changed. Alina restored Kolkhoz given normal house stopped hissing back forgiven. Strange. Thought Rob relative fellow soldier accountant acquaintances. Thomas not no intended find out. Pine Grove went district center. Plan head. Find Smith descendants talk maybe know something maybe family preserved documents letter secrets. Victor Smith chairman son died 2000s grandchildren remained. One Andrew Smith worked city administration deputy head economic issues important man respected. Thomas found easily Google helped phone address reception schedule modern technologies. Called Andrew Viktorovich named Thomas Wolfe like talk great-grandfather. Pause line. Which great-grandfather? Peter Simon Smith chairman Kolkhoz Red October. Another pause longer. Specifically interests 1937 denunciation grandfather. Silence voice change tense come tomorrow 10 office. Andrew Smith office 2nd floor administration spacious view square president portrait wall flag corner solid official. Smith 50 plump balding expensive suit face round inexpressive eyes small darting. Sit indicated chair Thomas sat. So Smith folded hands table want talk great-grandfather. Why? Under Devil's Stone found execution pit remains grandfather Robert Peter Wolfe executed January 38. Smith paled slightly Thomas saw. Condolences. Thank need not condolences need truth. What truth? Great-grandfather wrote denunciation grandfather. Denunciation grandfather executed. Want know why? Smith silent looked table fiddled pen. Long ago said finally 86 years me. Nothing may be family preserved. Documents letters diaries something explains. Smith raised eyes strange fear shame Thomas not understand. Great-grandfather began silent gathered strength great-grandfather complex man tough authoritative. Did much village built school brought electricity but much bad. New denunciation. Guessed. Family not say directly hints. Father drank much said family blood much blood. Great-grandfather wrote many denunciations, Smith nodded. Not only grandfather many interfered contradicted. 30s easy wrote paper person gone. Thomas felt anger boiling held difficulty. How many? What how many? How many people sent execution? Smith looked away. No exactly 10 maybe 15 maybe more. 15 people 15 families destroyed one man 15 children grown orphans. New Year's. New, Smith sighed, could do. Great-grandfather long gone ruined too. Needs truth. Me need. Thomas left office empty tired. Truth simple, no secrets, no conspiracies, just power. Man got power, others used, kill, interfered, disliked, stood way. Grandfather died, stood woman. 15 others reasons, result 1, pit, forest, bones, stone, 80 years silence. Thomas sat, car not start, engine sat, looking void. Do next, report authorities, did, soon specialists come, start exhumation, identify contact relatives, bury honors, not enough, need something more, remains not, let forget, monument place, split, stone names, all lie, remember not, repeat. Next 2 weeks Thomas hardly slept. Days, work reserve, surveys, reports, management demanded documents, storm damages, insurance company acts, inspection, routine, nowhere. Evenings, archives. Thomas dug, internet, called museums, wrote, requests, searched, information, executions, 30s Karelia camps, burial places. Searched, found. Karelia 30s, one big camp. White Sea Canal, Solovki, dozens smaller points, hundreds, thousands prisoners, thousands executed. Pits like Devil Stone Republic, some found, many hidden. Specialist memorial came 10 days. 3 elderly historian Victor Samuel, young anthropologist Kate, volunteer Michael, student archaeologist. Broad equipment, tents, tools, generator. Set camp, split stone. Thomas helped, carried things, set fencing, cooked porridge, fire. Watched specialists descend underground, carry bones, lay tarpaulin. 43 people counted end first week. 43 skeletons, men, women, children, executed, backhead thrown, pit covered, earth, stone top, no one finds. Typical picture, said Victor Samuel Gray, professor, tired eyes, special troikas, worked fast, sentence, execution, burial, conveyor, death. NFI, try things, teeth, DNA, long process, months, years. Thomas looked, rose, bones, thought, each family, wives, children, parents, waited, grandmother waited, not wait. 12th day, Kate called, Thomas, Stephen look, found interesting. Held metal box, rusty dented size cigarette case. Lay under skeleton, apparently hid death. Thomas took box, heavy, something rolls inside. Open difficulty, lid rusted. Inside papers rolled, yellowed photos. Photo group, men, military uniform, young, cheerful. Back inscription, faded, readable. Graduation 1924, Leningrad Infantry School. Thomas peered, faces, one seemed familiar, not understand why. Papers, asked Kate. Thomas unrolled first sheet, letter, pencil. Dear Masha, red means gone, don't cry dear, die innocent, kill, don't know no one, loved always, care little Sergey, you're Alex. Another letter, another farewell note, grandfathers, different names, different words. Alex, Thomas reread signature, need find is. Try, nodded Kate, handwriting, content, maybe list, repressed. Thomas looked, photo, suddenly understood, one face, reminds. Military Granny Mary talked, tall, handsome, orders. What if man, photo, one visited grandmother, war. Evening, Thomas sat, fire, flipped papers, box. 3 letters, different people, different addressees, same essence. Farewell, loved ones, declaration, innocence, request, remember. Not send, put box, hid under body, hope someday find. Found 86 years. Thomas Stephen. Victor Samuel sat, fire. Looked, photo, interesting find, recognize anyone, possibly see man, professor pointed, edge right. Alexander Michael Thunder, Red Army commander, hero, Civil War, arrested 37, executed 38. Likely case, archives checked, convicted, same troika, grandfather, period. Thomas looked, thunder face, young, confident, kind eyes. Others, photo, classmates, graduates, military school. After revolution, all went, Red Army fought, made careers. 30s, most fell, purge. Most, not all. One example, professor pointed, another, George John Frost survived whole war, rose, general died 70s, buried, honors. Frost, Thomas peered, face froze. Face saw old photo, grandmothers, military orders came, war. Victor Samuel said slowly, need learn more, man, Frost. Information, General Frost found quickly. George John Frost, born 1902, participant, Civil War Regiment, Commander Division. 30s, miraculously avoided repressions. Fought first day, great patriotic, Stalingrad, Kursk, Berlin, awards, ranks, honor. War served, Leningrad Military District, retired 60s, died 77. Main other, military archive found Frost personal file report 46 secret declassified 90s. Report I Major General Frost GJ conducted work searching families comrades died repressions 1937-38. Established addresses 12 families provided material assistance. Request permission continue work. Resolution, deny, case closed. Thomas read understood. Frost knew new friends executed innocently, new families starving, begging, tried help, secretly risking career life. 12 families including grandfathers, who visited grandmother, who left money, who possibly faked death, notice, protect father. Combat comrade, friend, man, honor. Thomas found Frost, granddaughter, Petersburg. Helen George, 70 years, former university teacher, retired, lives alone, old apartment, Vasilievsky Island. Called, explained situation, agreed, meet. Apartment spacious, high ceilings, filled books, walls, photos, Frost youth war family. Grandson Robert Wolfe, asked Helen George, pouring tea. Yes, no name, no, sat opposite. Grandfather often spoke him, Rob Wolfe, other friends lost 30s. Told happened, not me, father me, grandfather death, Helen George silent. Grandfather felt guilt, life, survived, died, why, better, tried help. Yes, traveled villages, searched families, dead friends, brought money, goods, lobbied children, accepted institutes, work. Grandfather arrested that, could, knew not otherwise. Helen George stood, went cabinet, took old folder. Records, diaries, letters, kept life, death, past, father me, placed folder table. Take records, grandfather happened. Thomas read Frost diaries night, small handwriting, faded ink entries, many years 20s 70s, whole life, yellowed pages. Found entries 37. October, arrested, thunder, accusation, participation, Trotskyist conspiracy. Nonsense, Alexander, devoted, party man, honest. Someone wrote denunciation. November, took Petrov, Kuznetsov, say spies. Idiocy, fought revolution, current investigators, walked table. December, Wolf arrested. Rob, quiet, accountant, enemy people. Funny, not scary. January 1938, learned, executed. Thunder, Petrov, Kuznetsov, Wolf, all. Buried, not say, state secret. Thomas read, saw lines, living man. Frost suffered, feared, not understand, wrote, not forget, remains. Further entries 46. War ended, can go, Karelia, search, families dead. Found Mary, Wolf lives, son, village, poverty. Left money, had, not want, take, proud, said Rob, took. Mary asked, Rob buried, couldn't say, don't know. Say Forest, Stone exactly remembers. Under Stone, Frost, new guest. Formed, death, notice, Rob, acquaintance, military commissariat. Now officially died, war hero. Easier, Mary, son, no stigma. There, Frost, fake, death, notice, protected, grandmother, father, risked, memory, friend. Last entry, 76-year death, soon die, feel. Life remembered, Alexander, Pete, Rob. Life tried atone, couldn't. Only leave, truth, records, testimony. Let descendants know, grandfather's innocent, killed, system devoured, children, not hero, survivor, lucky. Memory dead, burden carried, end. Thomas closed diary, sat, silence, looked, wall. Outside, Petersburg, morning, gray, damp. Frost died 77, not learn, friend found, 47 years death, not see truth come. Did, could, preserved memory, protected, families left records. Now Thomas turn, return, Karelia 3 days, work, devil, stone, nearing end. All remains lifted, describe, pack, soon send, expertise, DNA, anthropology, identification. Thomas stood, split, stone, looked, empty, pit dug, no longer scary, just whole ground. Identified anyone, asked Victor Samuel. 7 medallions, documents. Grandfather among others, working, checking lists, executed, many match. Long, full identification. Year 2, DNA analysis, long process. Thomas nodded, waited 86 years, wait. Autumn came early, September 1st, frosts hit, leaves yellowed, weak. Karelian forest prepared, winter harsh, long, always. Thomas worked, rest. Evening search, archives, databases, lists repressed. Searched exactly, lay, stone, searched, found. October, expertise confirmed, 43 people, 31 men, 9 women, 3 children. All executed, December 37, March 38. 4 months, 43 lives. Names established, 34. Robert Peter Wolf, accountant, 32 years. Alexander Michael Thunder, Red Army commander, 35 years. Maria Ilyinishna Petrov, teacher, 28 years. Peter Andrew Kuznetsov, agronomist, 41 years. Anna Steven Sidorov, paramedic, 33 years. List grew, each name, fate, each tragedy. Thomas made table, name, age, profession, accusation, sentence. Look, not believe, teachers, doctors, agronomists, accountants, ordinary people, working country, good. Enemies, people, spies, terrorists, madness, monstrous, bloody madness. Parallel work, search, relatives. Thomas understood, not one waited. Each 43 families, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, alive, right, no. Started, identified. Maria Ilyinishna Petrov, teacher, neighboring district, arrested, anti-Soviet agitation, pupils executed, January 38. Thomas found, great-grandson Alex Petrov, 45 lives, Petrozavodsk, works, programmer, married, 2 children. Called, explained situation. Silence, line, voice, horse changed. Sure, great-grandmother. Yes, remains identified, DNA compared, database, relatives repressed. Not no told, died, illness, 38, pneumonia. Lie, executed, enemy people. Silence, sob, teacher taught children, read, what enemy, none, slander, denunciation, wrote, school director wanted, place. Alex came 3 days, stood, split, stone, looked, pit, cried, ashamed, hiding. 86 years, said, 86 years, lay, we not know. Thomas put hand, shoulder, now no, meetings many. People came, Russia, Moscow, Petersburg, Novosibirsk, Vladivostok. Descendants executed, grown, lie. Told. Grandfather died, war, grandmother perished, evacuation, great-grandfather missing. No one told truth. Now told, Thomas met, each told, showed, explained. Became keeper, memory knows, remembers. Some stories shook. Anna Steven Sidorov, paramedic, Pine Grove village, grandfather lived. Arrested, sabotage, allegedly deliberately treated kolkhoz members wrong. Great-granddaughter Olga 60 came, Krasnodar. Grandmother told, Sid standing stone, mother saint treated everyone free, day night. People came, whole district, then taken, no one saw. Who wrote denunciation? No. Grandmother said, own those refused sick leave. Own, always own. Neighbors, colleagues, acquaintances, shared bread, worked, celebrated, betrayed, position, revenge, fear. System worked perfectly, no need investigators, no need evidence enough, paper denunciation, person gone. November established, 34 names, 43. 9 remained unknown, no documents, no things, just bones, nameless, forgot. Thomas not give up, search, compared, checked, database, repressed, incomplete, many cases, destroyed, many classified, day. Duke said Victor Samuel, rest not power. If someone grandfather, someone grandmother, someone searches, then search further, like searched all, search. Thomas understood, Professor Wright, cannot embrace immensity, cannot find all, help all, fix all. Can do, power did. In November, Thomas gathered, meeting, invited, found, descendants dead. Came 27 people, different cities, generations united, one common pain. Met district house culture, old building, shabby walls, creaky chairs, warm light, cozy. Thomas stood stage, looked faces, young, old, male, female, unfamiliar yet kin. All lost someone, devil stone. Thank coming began, no road long important. Turned projector screen photos, old black and white faces, dead managed find archives. Our ancestors, 34 people, names established. 9 unknown, work continues. People look screen, some cried, some clenched fists, some silent, unable speak. Died innocent, continued Thomas, slandered, tried, executed. 86 years lay pit stone without names, graves, memory. Voice trembled, Thomas coped. Among grandfather Robert Peter Wolf, accountant, Pine Grove, arrested, anti-Soviet agitation, executed January 38. Took medallion, same one. All left, medallion, photo note, wife. Mary dear, fine, no, never enemy. Love little Stephen, good, care yourself. Thomas looked sky, clear blue. Grandmother waited, life 70 years waited, looked window, went road, believed return. Not believe death, notice sent 42 said. He's close, feel, right close, 5 kilometers home stone. Silence, people listen, holding breath. Not meet grandmother, continued Thomas, died 43, not time, tell truth, show place. Pointed monument, believe knows where, now knows. Grandfather knows, all 43 know. Found, return, name, set stone, remember, never forget. Thomas put hand, stela, cold granite, warm sun, rest, peace, remembered. After speeches, minute silence. People stood, heads bowed, wind rustled, pines, birds sang, far world continued, indifferent, eternal. Then flowers, each approached monument, laid bouquet, candle. Some cried, some silent, words not needed. Thomas stood aside, watched. Alex Petrov, great-grandson, teacher, laid flowers, photo, old black and white, great-grandmother, young, smiling. Olga Krasnodar brought icons, small, wooden. Grandmother said, great-grandmother always prayed, sleep. Now where? Helen George, granddaughter, General Frost brought grandfather, diaries, laid, stela next, flowers. One here said, life search, place not find, records found. Thomas nodded, without no truth. Knows, sure knows. Last approached Andrew Smith, great-grandson, denouncer. Stood aside, ceremony, not push forward, not attract attention, just silent. Now approach monument, knelt, snow, frost, bowed head. Forgive, said, behalf, family, forgive. Thomas looked, great-grandson, killer, standing knees, victims. Strange feeling, not anger, not satisfaction, something else, light, liberating. Maybe forgiveness. Extended hand helped Smith up, stand cold. Smith looked, tears, eyes, forgive, not forgive, forgive, probably. How no? Thomas took pocket medallion, open, showed note. Grandfather wrote death, not word, hatred, only love. Smith read, closed eyes, better us, all better, killed. Winter came, early December, snow covered, forest covered, split stone, white blanket. Work installation, monument postponed, spring ground frozen, no drive equipment. Thomas not sit idle, wrote. Every evening, old computer light, kerosene lamp, wrote story, not his, theirs, 43 people died, devil stone. Collected bits. Archive cases, memories, relatives, letters, photos, restored, fates, day, year. Robert Peter Wolf, accountant, loving husband, father, stood, woman, died. Alexander Michael, thunder, combat commander, hero, civil, survived wars, not survived peace. Maria Ilyinishna Petrov, teacher, dedicated life, children killed, denouncer, envy. Peter Andrew Kuznetsov, agronomist, dreamed, feed country, executed, sabotage. Anna Steven Sidorov, paramedic, treated everyone free, declared enemy people. Stories formed, book not fiction, documentary book, memory, Thomas wanted, publish, opening monument. Devil stone, 43 fates. Worked late night, fell asleep, keyboard woke, continued. Debt, grandfather, grandmother, all lay pit. Silent, 86 years now, speak voice. February, called Andrew Smith, great-grandson, chairman, denouncer. Thomas Stephen Smith, remember, want, hesitated, want help, monument, money, organization, anything. Thomas silent, not expect. Why? Because great-grandfather, guilty, death, grandfather, many others, not fix but try. Thomas thought long, easier, refuse, Smith surname, hated, mouth ruined, grandfather, accept, help, betray, memory, but grandfather, forgive. Thomas knew, felt. Robert Peter, good man, not bear evil, not thirst revenge. Note medallion, no word, curses, only love. Good, said Thomas, come. Smith came, weak, stood stone, look, snow-filled pit, face gray, aged. Here, how many? 43. Smith silent, then knelt, snow, frost, bowed head. Forgive, said name, family, forgive. Thomas looked, right, great-grandson, killer, knees, victims, strange feeling, not anger, not satisfaction, something else, light, liberating, maybe forgiveness. He extended hand, helped Smith. Rise, cold. Smith looked, eyes, tears, you forgive, not me, forgive. They forgive, probably, whence no. Thomas pulled pocket medallion open, showed note, my grandfather wrote this before death, no word, hatred, only love. Smith read, closed eyes, he better us, they all better, therefore killed. Spring came, late mid-April, snow melted slowly, unwillingly, earth thawed, turning mud, streams ran, hills filling, rivers melt, water. Thomas waited, every day checked, forecast, drove, stone looked, earth. Needed solid ground, machinery, work, people. Beginning May, waited, earth dried, roads became passable, can begin. Machinery drove, district center, excavator, crane, truck, concrete. Workers came, city, 5 sturdy guys agreed, work half price, learned what for. Monument made, Petrozavodsk, whole winter, sculptor Andrew, young guy, beard, sad eyes, invested soul, said, this main work life. Construction, simple, powerful, granite, stela, 3 meters height, front side, bas relief, silhouettes, people walking, light back, names, 34 names known, bottom line, and 9 unknown. 43 people all one stone. Installation appointed 9th May symbolic. Day Victory Day grandmother every year pulled grandfather photo lit candle day whole country remembers dead. Now remember them those died not war from own those killed not enemy bullet paper denunciation. People gathered lot descendants, dead all 27 found journalists local federal officials administration, had invite without them no way simple people surrounding villages city those read story internet wanted be here. Thomas stood stone split darkened winter look people gathered around. Year ago here alone. Lightning hit came descended pit found bones found medallion found grandfather. Now not alone now many united common memory common pain common hope. Ready asked Victor Samuel. Ready, crane hummed lifted stela slowly carefully lowered prepared foundation workers fastened check level stepped away. Monument stood 3 meters granite versus 86 years silence. Thomas went microphone looked faces known unknown all waiting what say. Prepared speech long carefully rewrote dozens times but now words flew head remained only feelings. Year ago began lightning hit this stone split half. Under it pit and pit people. Paused. 43 people men women children shot 37-38 throne pit covered earth stone top. 86 years no one knew 86 years no one remembered. Voice trembled Thomas managed. Among them my grandfather Robert Peter Wolf accountant from Pine Grove arrested anti-Soviet agitation shot January 38. Pulled medallion same one. This all from him medallion photo note wife Mary dear if fine no I never enemy love little Stephen he good take care yourself your Rob. Thomas looked sky clear blue. Grandmother waited him whole life 70 years waited looked window went road believed returns. Not believe funeral they sent 42 said he close I feel she right he close 5 kilometers from home under this stone. Silence people listened breath held. I not catch grandmother continued Thomas she died I 43 not time tell her truth not time show this place he pointed monument. But I believe she knows there where she now knows and grandfather knows, and all 43 know we found them we returned them names we set stone to remember to never let forget. Thomas laid hand on steel a cold granite warm from sun sleep peacefully you remembered. After speeches minute silence people stood heads lowered wind noised in pines birds sang somewhere far peace continued indifferent eternal. Then flowers each came to monument laid bouquet candle some cried some just silent words were not needed. Thomas stood aside watched Alex Petrov great-grandson of teacher laid flowers. In photo old black-white great-grandmother young smiling Olga. From Krasnodar brought icon small wooden Sid grandmother. Sid great-grandmother always prayed before sleep now there's where Helen George granddaughter of General Frost brought grandfather diaries laid at Stela with flowers he would like to be here she said whole life look for this place not find. But his records found Thomas nodded without him we would not know. Truth he knows I sure knows last came Andrew Smith great-grandson of denouncer. He stood aside whole ceremony not push forward not draw attention. Just was silent now came to monument dropped on knees right in snow and cold lowered head forgive he said from name of my family forgive. Thomas looked at him at great-grandson of murderer standing on knees before victim strange feeling not anger not satisfaction, something other light freeing perhaps forgiveness he stretched hand helped Smith rise. Stand cold Smith looked at him in eyes tears you forgive not to me to forgive they would forgive probably from where you know Thomas pulled from pocket medallion opened. Showed note my grandfather wrote this before death not word of hatred, only love Smith read closed eyes he was better than us they all were better therefore they killed. To evening people left remained only Thomas and silence monument white in twilight candles, flickered at base flowers bright spots on background gray granite Thomas sat on ground beside stone, looked at names Robert Peter Wolf 1905-1938 grandfather man, whom he never knew but now knew better than many living hello grandfather. He said quietly this I Thomas your grandson wind rustled in pines, as if answer grandmother waited you whole life now you together hope he. Paused I found you as promised set stone wrote book, told truth pulled from pocket note same from medallion read aloud Mary dear if fine no. I never enemy love little Stephen he good take care yourself your Rob voice trembled she found grandfather through 86 years. But found not herself through me well what difference Thomas laid hand on steel asleep peacefully you home epilogue year later book came out in autumn Devil Stone 43 fates 300 pages stories photos documents each of. Dead in separate chapter with name with fate circulation sold out a month. Reprinted 3 times journalists wrote reviews bloggers shot video story Devil Stone became known to whole country. Thomas not expect such not want fame not seek attention just wanted remember every year night made a monument come people descendants dead simple indifferent lay flowers light candles stand in silence Thomas meets each tells story to those here first shows names to those search own work. Continues of 9 unknown established 3 more remain 6 Thomas not surrenders searches compares checks someday find all Andrew Smith comes every year brings money for maintenance monument for search remaining names stands aside not push forward just remembers Helen George wrote article about her grandfather General Frost who tried to help families of dead friends article published in historical journal. Now, he remembered too Thomas still works in reserve every morning round territory. Every evening entries in journal life, continues simple quiet right aka age 13 years for dog much walks slowly sleeps much, but every time Thomas goes to monument follows, as if also remembers split stone remained in place, decided not touch as part of history too, has granite divorced by lightning reminder how truth opens sometimes Thomas comes here alone sits at monument looks at names talks with grandfather quietly, so no one hears tells about life about work about weather about how things go what new in world simple things those talk to close people grandfather silent. But Thomas knows here's this year spring came early already in April warm green birds, sing Thomas stood at monument looked at sun year ago here, was only pit now stela flowers candles place of memory, where people come he did it found grandfather found truth built monument wrote book told story did all he could grandmother would be proud, Thomas pulled from pocket medallion same war always on neck. Undershirt reminder of grandfather of past of what important open, looked at photo Robert Peter Wolf young serious with kind eyes man who died for being decent I remember grandfather said Thomas, and others remember now always, will remember wind rustled and pine sun broke through clouds illuminated monument names sparkled on granite living eternal 43 people, 37 names established 6 yet unknown, but work continues memory alive and ended story of Devil Stone. Story about how lightning opened secret of 86-year-old about how one man found grandfather, whom 3 generations searched about how truth even late even through pain, still comes out the story fictional but such stories in Russia thousands execution, pits nameless graves families who still search they remember them search truth, not let forget like story put like subscribe to channel write in comments from which city you, and how old you know history of your family were among your ancestors. Repressed ahead new stories even more captivating even more unexpected not miss Uhu.